Stop chasing approval. 11 Stoic lessons to free your mind. Stoic philosophy. You scroll, you post, you wait. For the likes. The replies. The silent nod from the world that says, "You're doing fine." But what if that nod never comes? What if your post goes unnoticed? Your words misread? Your efforts unacknowledged? Would you stop trying? Would you question your worth? Because that, right there, is the trap. The moment your self-worth is outsourced, your peace becomes negotiable. And that's why the Stoics never lived for applause. They lived for alignment. Not with public opinion, but with virtue. They didn't ask, "Do they like me?" They asked, "Did I act with wisdom? Was I just? Did I stay disciplined, courageous, honest?" That's the shift, from performing for praise, to practicing principles. From chasing validation, to embodying clarity. Marcus Aurelius ruled an empire but wrote privately, "It never ceases to amaze me. We all love ourselves more than other people, but care more about their opinion than our own." So what does that mean for you, today, right now? It means you stop asking for permission to be whole. You stop begging for approval to act with integrity. You stop waiting to be seen, and start seeing yourself. Because here's the truth, you can't control how the world receives you. But you can control how deeply you accept yourself. And once that becomes your foundation, everything changes. You speak, even if they misunderstand. You act, even if they disapprove. You rest, even if no one applauds your effort. You begin living, not for their reaction, but for your reason. You no longer react to the silence with self-doubt. You respond with stillness, strength, and self-respect. That is the Stoic path. And this video is your compass. Across 11 timeless principles, you'll learn to release your need for outside approval. Build inner confidence without audience. Let go of control and embrace clarity. Stop performing, and start aligning with truth. This isn't just philosophy. This is a personal revolution. One where you stop waiting for the world to say, "You matter," and start living like you already do. Let's begin. 1. Stop waiting for external validation. Most people don't realize they're addicted to approval. It doesn't show up like a craving. It shows up like overthinking, over-explaining, oversharing, overcommitting, all in hopes of being told, "You're good enough." But here's the Stoic truth: if your worth can be given by others, it can be taken by others. And anything that can be taken isn't stable. It isn't you. This is why Epictetus reminded us to focus on what's within our control. Your opinion of yourself? That's yours. Their opinion? Not yours. We live in a world where we're conditioned to outsource self-worth. We wait for the job title to feel successful, for the partner to feel lovable, for the applause to feel valuable. But the Stoic sees through this illusion. Marcus Aurelius didn't need cheers from the crowd to lead. He needed clarity within. Here's the shift, from proving, to aligning. From asking, "Do they see my worth?" to declaring, "I will live with worth regardless." Because the moment you stop waiting, you start moving. You stop editing yourself for approval. You start expressing from principle. Try this. The next time you catch yourself fishing for validation, pause. Don't post the thing just to be liked. Don't say yes to be accepted. Don't shrink to avoid judgment. Instead ask, "Would I still do this if no one noticed?" If the answer is yes, do it. If the answer is no, you just found where you were outsourcing your power. And here's my honest reflection: for years I lived to be liked. I shaped my words to be approved, not to be true. The day I stopped waiting was the day I started leading myself. And that's what I hope for you, to stop standing in the mirror waiting for permission to be enough. and to start walking, speaking, creating from a deeper source. Because once you no longer need their nod, their silence won't shake you. Once you stop needing to be seen, you'll finally see yourself. That's where Stoic strength begins. Not when they approve, but when you do. 2. Redefine approval the Stoic way. Let's redefine what approval even means. Not in the context of likes, praise, or social validation, but in the context of virtue, of alignment, of the quiet power that comes from knowing, I did the right thing, even if no one clapped. In the Stoic tradition, approval isn't about being liked. It's about being consistent with your values. It's about choosing what's right over what's popular. When you start to view life through this lens, everything shifts. Rejection loses its sting. Criticism becomes a mirror, not a wound. Silence stops feeling like a punishment and starts feeling like freedom. Because the Stoic understands, public opinion is wind. But character, that's the anchor. This means redefining success, too. Not as validation from others, but as alignment with what you respect about yourself. So instead of asking, did they like what I said? Ask, was what I said honest? Was it useful? Did it serve something greater than my ego? Instead of asking, do they admire me? Ask, am I someone I admire, in private, when no one's around? A personal note, the moment I began measuring success by how well I slept at night, not how many claps I got, was the moment I found peace. Peace doesn't come from being agreed with. It comes from being in agreement with your highest self. Here's a practice. At the end of each day, write down one moment you acted with integrity, even if no one noticed. That's what you're building. Not a brand. A self. The Stoic doesn't seek approval to feel whole. They seek truth to live whole. And they redefine approval as the feeling you get when you don't betray yourself. That kind of approval? You never have to chase it. You just have to earn it. Quietly. Daily. Internally. 3. The danger of seeking others' agreement. It feels good to be agreed with. It feels safe. But when agreement becomes a requirement for action, you're no longer living with principle. You're living by consensus. The Stoic warns against this danger, because people will praise you one day, doubt you the next. Their opinion is not a compass. It's a weather vane. If you're constantly shifting your direction to match the crowd, you lose sight of your internal course. Seneca put it plainly. He who seeks approval from many becomes dependent on many. That dependence creates anxiety. You're no longer asking, is this just? Is this wise? Is this necessary? You're asking, will they like it? Will they approve? Will they support me? That's not discernment. That's people-pleasing in disguise. Let me be real with you. I've delayed good ideas out of fear they'd be misunderstood. I've avoided truth because it might be too much. But I've also watched those same ideas get said by someone else, later, louder, bolder. And I realized silence is agreement with fear. You don't need everyone to agree. You need to agree with yourself, deeply, consistently. Here's a reflection. Think of a time you hesitated because someone might disagree. Now ask, did their opinion really matter? Or did your fear just give it too much weight? Remember this, consensus is not confirmation of truth. It's often just the reflection of comfort. And growth doesn't live in comfort. The Stoic speaks not to be applauded, but to stay in integrity. They act not to gain favor, but to serve what is right. Agreement is nice. But clarity is better. Live by clarity. And let agreement be optional. 4. Apply the core Stoic principle of focus. If you only remember one idea from Stoicism, let it be this. Some things are up to us. Some things are not. This is the cornerstone of the philosophy. It's Epictetus 101. And yet, it's the hardest to live. Because we think worrying helps. We think control keeps us safe. But in truth, it weakens us. It scatters our energy. It blurs our clarity. You waste hours replaying a conversation, wishing you had said more. You waste days refreshing messages, hoping someone replies. You waste months building dreams based on people who already left. The Stoic sees this and asks, is this mine to carry? Is this mine to shape? Is this mine to hold? If the answer is no, you drop it. That's not cold. That's disciplined compassion. Because what you hold on to mentally shapes who you become emotionally. And what you focus on grows. Here's the hard truth. Most people don't lack time. They lack focus. They say they want peace, but fill their day with drama. They say they want purpose, but give their energy to distractions. What you tolerate in your mind becomes the tone of your life. So how do you practice Stoic focus? Start with these 3 questions. 1. Can I control this? If not, acknowledge it, then release it. 2. Does this align with who I want to be? If not, pause and reorient. 3. Will this matter in a week? A month? A year? If not, don't offer it your spirit today. Your peace is not found in the absence of noise. It's found in the ability to focus anyway. And when you make this shift, from wanting to control everything to mastering what's yours, you gain power most people never taste. The power to walk away. To let go. To stay steady when the world spins. A personal reminder, most of my emotional pain didn't come from what happened, but from my resistance to what happened. From trying to rewrite it, replay it, or make it fair. Peace didn't come from justice. It came from letting go. You don't need to win every battle. You just need to choose the ones that are truly yours. That's Stoic focus. That's inner leadership. That's where calm begins. 5. The power of letting go and trusting life. Most people think letting go means losing. Stoics know better. Letting go isn't failure. It's freedom. Because the truth is, you can't force peace. You can't rush timing. And the harder you grip the outcome, the more life slips through your fingers. This isn't just about relationships or goals. It's about expectations. Your pain isn't always caused by what happened. It's caused by what you expected to happen instead. Seneca wrote, "He who suffers before it is necessary suffers more than is necessary." Anticipation. Assumption. Control. These are weights we carry that we were never meant to hold. The Stoic way is to engage fully, but release freely. To act with commitment, but detach from obsession. To serve life, not strangle it. This is the paradox of power. You don't become stronger by holding on tighter. You become stronger by knowing when to let go. Think about it. How many times have you made a decision out of fear that something might slip away? How often did that only push it further? Letting go is not weakness. It's choosing to trust that what is meant for you will not need to be chased, forced, or begged. So how do you practice this? 1. Shift from expectation to exploration. Approach each day like a student, not a controller. Ask, what can I learn from this? Instead of, how do I make this happen? 2. Write down what you're clinging to. Name the fear. Define the outcome you're attached to. Then ask, is this helping me grow? Or keeping me stuck? 3. Practice micro-detachments. Let go of the need to respond right away. Let go of needing to be understood perfectly. Let go of the urgency to fix something that hasn't even broken. When you stop resisting the moment, you start receiving its full gift. Let me share something real. The biggest breakthroughs in my life didn't come when I pushed harder. They came when I stepped back. When I said, I don't know what's next, but I'll stop forcing what isn't flowing. That's when peace enters. Not through domination, but through surrender. And that's what the Stoic understands. Control is an illusion, but choice is always real. So choose to let go. Choose to breathe. Choose to meet this life as it is, and trust that what belongs to you will stay, and what doesn't will teach you on its way out. Letting go isn't the end of the journey. It's the beginning of walking it lightly. 6. Mastering your mindset. You can't live a Stoic life with a chaotic mind. Not because the Stoics ignored their thoughts, but because they trained them. They understood one powerful truth. If you don't choose your thoughts will choose your life. The average person thinks they are their thoughts. The Stoic knows they are the thinker. That's the shift. Your mindset is not something you're born with. It's something you build. Brick by brick. Belief by belief. Habit by habit. And every day, you're either feeding your mind strength or stories. Stories that say, you're not enough. Stories that say, you must be perfect to be worthy. Stories that say, if they don't approve, you're doing it wrong. Stoicism is the interruption of those stories. It's the space where you say, is that thought useful? Is it true? Does it move me closer to virtue, or distract me with fear? So how do you master your mindset the Stoic way? Here are 3 practices that changed my life. 1. Daily journaling. Not to vent. To clarify. Write what happened. Write how you reacted. Write what you wish you did differently. Reflection is how the Stoics sharpened their inner blade. 2. Thought auditing. Catch automatic thoughts and challenge them. When you hear, they're ignoring me because I'm not good enough, ask, is that a fact, or a fear? Your mind is a courtroom. Don't let unproven stories act as judges. 3. Mental rehearsals. Marcus Aurelius imagined being criticized before it happened. Not to stress, but to prepare. When you anticipate discomfort, you don't panic when it arrives. You meet it with power. And here's a key insight. Your mindset isn't tested on your best days. It's revealed on your worst. When you're tired, misunderstood, left on read. That's when your real programming speaks. So upgrade it. Don't wait to feel mentally strong. Train it. Feed your mind with wisdom. With stillness. With clean, clear questions. The Stoics weren't calm by nature. They were calm by choice. That means you can be too. Not because the world slows down, but because your mind doesn't speed up with it. Here's something personal. My entire life changed the day I stopped asking, how do I stop being anxious? And started asking, what belief is fueling this? Mastery didn't come from force. It came from inspection. So the next time your mind spirals, don't fight it. Sit with it. And ask, is this the mindset I want driving my future? Because your mindset is not a mood. It's a muscle. Train it like it matters, because it does. 7. Patience is key. We live in a world of urgency. Instant messages. Instant feedback. Instant gratification. And somewhere along the way, we began to believe that fast equals success. That if it's not happening now, it's not working. But the Stoics knew. Anything built to last is built slowly. Nature doesn't rush. The seasons don't sprint. A tree doesn't bloom in a day. Why should you? Impatience is a form of entitlement. It's the mind saying, I deserve to have what I want now, on my timeline. But you are not owed progress. You are only offered a path. And the Stoic walks that path with presence, not pressure. Seneca said, "No man was ever wise by chance." Which means the qualities we admire most, discipline, wisdom, composure, are not downloads. They're dividends, compounded through time, friction, and repetition. The impatient mind sees the journey as a delay. The Stoic mind sees the journey as the point. So how do you develop Stoic patience? 1. Zoom out. Most of what's stressing you today won't even be remembered in 5 years. Train your perspective. Not everything requires urgency. 2. Reframe resistance. What you call delay might actually be development. Maybe you're not being held back. Maybe you're being prepared. 3. Practice intentional slowness. Eat slower. Speak slower. Breathe slower. Decide slower. Slowness is not laziness, it's presence. I'll share something personal. Every time I rushed a decision out of fear of falling behind, I ended up further from where I wanted to be. The more I learned to wait with intention, the more life revealed its next step, without force. You don't need to have it all figured out by Friday. You just need to keep showing up, honestly, humbly, consistently. There's a kind of power in patience that can't be replicated. It doesn't shout. It doesn't shake. It simply stays centered. And in a noisy, frantic world, that's not weakness. That's mastery. The Stoic knows. Speed is impressive. But stillness, that's unforgettable. 8. Act from purpose, not desperation. We've all been there. You want something so badly, you start acting from urgency instead of clarity. You chase. You overcompensate. You say yes when your gut screams no. That's not purpose. That's panic in disguise. The Stoic doesn't act to escape fear. They act to express virtue. Epictetus taught, "First say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do." This flips the entire formula of how most people live. Instead of doing to become something, the Stoic becomes, then does. Purpose before performance. Principle before progress. And here's how you can shift into that mindset. 1. Clarify your intention. Before every important decision, ask, am I acting from alignment or anxiety? If your action is rooted in the fear of being left behind, rejected, or forgotten, pause. Real purpose doesn't come from fear. It comes from inner truth. 2. Define your values before your goals. Too many people set goals based on what they see others doing, not what actually honors who they are. If your goal isn't rooted in value, you'll betray yourself to reach it. 3. Let stillness precede movement. Don't rush into action just because silence feels uncomfortable. Purposeful action often feels slow at first. That's okay. Trust it. Here's something from my own life. Some of my most painful failures didn't come from being too slow. They came from being too desperate to move, to be chosen, to be validated, to finally feel enough. But Stoic action is never reactive. It's measured, meaningful, anchored in who you choose to be. You don't need to chase what's fast. You need to build what's true. And that means sometimes you say no to opportunities that don't align, even when they look good on the outside. Your future is shaped less by what you do, and more by why you do it. So stop asking, will this impress them? Start asking, will this express me? Because action without purpose is noise. But action from purpose? That's power. That's legacy. That's Stoic. 9. Let go of the need for control. Control is seductive. It makes us feel safe. It gives us the illusion that if we just plan hard enough, work fast enough, worry long enough, we can bend reality into what we want. But the Stoics knew. The tighter you grip life, the less room it has to breathe. You can prepare. You can act. But you cannot guarantee. Trying to control the uncontrollable isn't leadership, it's anxiety. And nothing drains energy faster than trying to fix what was never yours to manage. Epictetus reminds us, freedom is the only worthy goal in life. It is won by disregarding things that lie beyond our control. Think about it. You can't control what people say. You can't control how long something takes. You can't control the mood of the algorithm, the weather, or someone else's healing timeline. But you can control what you focus on. You can control how you respond. You can control your values, your attitude, your next step. And that's where real power lives. Here are 3 shifts to practice letting go of control the Stoic way. 1. Focus on process, not payoff. Instead of obsessing over how things will end, double down on how you're showing up. Master the input. Trust the outcome. 2. Expect disruption. When things don't go as planned, don't panic. Say to yourself, I expected this. Because the Stoic doesn't wish for smooth seas. They train to sail through storms. 3. Release emotional overattachment. Want something? Great. But don't worship it. Need it? Pause. Because the more desperate you are to control it, the more it controls you. Here's something personal. The more I tried to micromanage my life, the smaller it became. Everything became a problem to solve instead of a moment to live. But once I accepted that I could only guide, not guarantee, my mind exhaled. And in that exhale, I discovered something better than control. Agency. Not over everything, but over myself. Letting go of control doesn't mean giving up. It means showing up fully. And trusting that what's beyond you will unfold how it must. That's not passivity. That's maturity. That's Stoic strength in its calmest, clearest form. 10. Live in true abundance. The world teaches you that you'll feel abundant when you have more. More money. More followers. More admiration. More achievement. But Stoicism teaches the opposite. You feel abundant when you need less. Seneca wrote, It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more that is poor. This is true not only of wealth, but of validation. You can be surrounded by praise, and still feel hollow. You can hit all your goals, and still feel restless. Because abundance isn't a number. It's a mindset. It's the quiet knowing that nothing is missing from this moment. That you are enough, not when you arrive, but as you begin. Here's what it looks like to live in true abundance. 1. Gratitude before growth. You don't need to wait until everything's perfect to be thankful. Gratitude doesn't mean you stop reaching. It means you stop reaching from emptiness. 2. Detach worth from accumulation. You are not what you produce. You are not how many people clap. You are who you choose to be when no one's looking and nothing's guaranteed. 3. Savor simplicity. When was the last time you celebrated what's already working? What you already have? Abundance isn't always louder or bigger. Sometimes it's quieter, deeper. Here's a personal truth. My most grounded moments weren't after I hit milestones. They came when I paused. When I sat with the version of myself that didn't need to earn the right to breathe easy. And ironically, the more I accepted that I already had enough, the more opportunities arrived. Why? Because the world often mirrors your energy. And when you stop radiating lack, you stop attracting things that feed it. The Stoic lives in quiet sufficiency. They wake up and ask, "What's in my control today? What can I contribute, regardless of return?" And then they act, not to prove, but to serve. Not to get, but to grow. You'll never feel abundant if you keep chasing validation. But you'll always feel at peace when you live from values. Because values can't be taken. They can't be bought or broken. And when you live from them, you don't need more to feel more. You're already whole. And that's the deepest wealth of all. 11. Right action versus desperate action. Not all action is created equal. Some actions are quiet, intentional, aligned. Others are noisy, impulsive, and fueled by panic. From the outside, both can look the same. But on the inside? One calms you. The other consumes you. The Stoic doesn't judge action by results alone. They judge it by motive. Was this done from virtue, or from desperation? This distinction matters because most people act from lack. They act to escape something. The fear of not being enough. The pressure of someone else's expectations. The anxiety of being left behind. But Stoic action isn't reactive. It's reasoned. It's guided by logos, by logic, value, and clarity. So here's how to check the quality of your actions. 1. Pause before you act. If it feels urgent, it deserves a moment of inspection. Ask, is this reaction or reflection? 2. Measure alignment, not applause. Before moving, ask, does this action match who I want to be? Would I do this if no one noticed? 3. Watch your energy after the action. The right action often leaves you grounded. Desperate action leaves you exhausted, or ashamed. A personal story. Some of my biggest regrets didn't come from what I did. They came from why I did it. I rushed into projects, relationships, performances, just to prove I mattered. But proof is a poor purpose. And desperation always feels expensive in hindsight. Right action is different. It often starts slower. Quieter. It doesn't scream. But it builds. It lasts. It liberates. Because it's not trying to grab something out there. It's trying to express something in here. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself, if it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it. That is the test. Not, will this succeed? But, is this right? So here's your challenge. Don't just move. Move wisely. Don't just act. Act with direction. Because movement for movement's sake can become self-abandonment. But movement from principle? That's integrity in motion. That's Stoicism applied. That's you, choosing to live, not louder, but clearer. You never needed their approval. Just your own. So here you are. You've made it through 11 Stoic shifts. And if there's one thread tying them all together, it's this. You don't need the world to approve of you before you live with intention. You don't need applause to validate your clarity. You don't need likes, nods, or noise to walk a meaningful path. You just need one thing. Your own alignment. That's the heartbeat of Stoicism. It doesn't scream, I'm right. It whispers, I'm rooted. It doesn't ask, do they like me? It affirms, I respect myself. You no longer have to shapeshift to be accepted. You no longer have to perform peace while collapsing internally. You no longer have to wait to be picked. Because you've already chosen you. And that choice will change everything. Marcus Aurelius didn't write to the masses. He wrote to himself. He journaled not to influence others, but to stay aligned with truth, when no one was watching. That's your invitation now. Not to become famous, but to become free. So take these lessons. Revisit them. Reflect on them. Apply them. Choose stillness over attention. Discipline over desperation. Presence over performance. And the next time you're tempted to shrink for approval, remember, if it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it. Marcus Aurelius. This isn't the end of a video. It's the beginning of a new chapter, where you live without begging, where you walk without permission, where you speak not to be liked, but to be real. So, if this message anchored something in you, share it. Not for validation, but for impact. Subscribe to True Stoic Mindset. This is where the noise stops, and the inner work begins. Now go live it. Fully. Quietly. Powerfully. Not because they say so, but because you already know. You're enough. You're ready. You're free.